One of my favorite pastimes is playing Fallout New Vegas, no surprise there, which makes talking about the game in videos pretty enjoyable, so when I have to start a new playthrough in the Mojave, it never bugs me too much. This time, because I wanted to get some footage of some quests for various videos I want to work on, I started a new game and got to work going through Doc Mitchell's routine. I made a perfectly average build, marked the skills I wanted to play with, chose my traits, and headed back into the great big world of New Vegas. Everything started very normally. I spoke to Victor before running out to the outskirts of Goodsprings to do the skilled exploit, came back to go through the tutorial with Sunny, and even made myself useful by helping Goodsprings with their powder ganger problem. Leaving the area, I saw Bart and Thorn wandering off in the distance, so I figured it'd be good to get the experience from doing his quest, and after taking care of him, I headed towards the powder ganger camps to pick some loot that I'd be able to sell at the Mojave outpost. This is when things started to seem a little off. As I was roaming the camps, I could see a few Centaurs standing in the distance, menacingly. While this struck me as odd, I wrote it off as just another Gamebryo bug. This game engine is infamous for its bugs and glitches, so I assumed that these lost fellas were just a result of a random encounter spawning in a weird place. These Centaurs were very out of place, but it wasn't something that caught me too off guard. We don't usually see these guys until much later in the game and in much more reasonable places, like craters and places where super mutants like to hang out, but still, Fallout is wacky, and after I was able to drop them, I moved on towards the Mojave outpost. On the way to the NCR base, I passed through Prim, made short work of the convicts terrorizing the town, rescued Deputy Beagle from his sticky situation, and pushed on, heading for the big statues in the distance. My inventory was getting heavy, and the merchant that we can meet right past the highway patrol was going to be a good stop before we hit the base. Arriving at the Mojave outpost, things got a bit more strange. I heard gunfire in the distance and saw almost everyone on base running frantically. They were here too. Centaurs, including one of the evolved types, running wild, causing chaos at the base. A few NCR troopers were lost, including Ghost and Killborn, failing the quests associated with them. This is when I really started to notice things may not be right with this playthrough. The first time I ran into a group of Centaurs by the Powder Gangers camp, it was easy to explain, just Fallout New Vegas being wacky again. But this was different. I felt in my gut that something wasn't right this time. After things cooled down at the Mojave outpost, I sold some things to the merchant and made sure to check with Jackson to get his quest to take out the ants, and I made my way towards Nipton. Things were going smoothly. I took care of some of the ants, fought the raiders at the pit stop, talked to Malcolm Holmes, fought more raiders, solved a dispute, and congratulated Swanwick on his lottery victory before meeting Vulpes. Though Killborn was dead from the Centaur attack, so I was reminded of this due to the quest not starting. Another strange occurrence, but my sights were set on Novak at this point, so I just wanted to push forward. When I arrived, I met with Victor, exchanged pleasantries, and then went up to the dinosaur head to chat with Manny. After getting the Come Fly With Me quest, I waited around for Boone, grabbed something from the store, and grabbed the quest to help Boone find the person who sold out his wife. After waking Jeannie Mae up and heading to the front of the dinosaur, I convinced Boone to pal around with me, and we went to help the farmers who had been suffering from nighttime attacks on their Brahmin. I saw the familiar shape of the Nightkin moving silently with his stealth boy activated, but it was here that it all happened again. Centaurs started to enter the area from the same location the Nightkin was stalking from. The monsters easily took care of the super mutant and set their sights on the town. However, another strange thing caught my attention here. When I went to look for the corpse of the Nightkin, it just wasn't there. Did the Centaurs do something to the body? Did it change somehow? I wasn't really sure, but Boone and I had stopped the threat from entering Novak proper, and I figured we should just head to RepCon and get everything with the Bright followers settled. Things went as planned here. We went through RepCon, taking care of the feral ghouls, though this time I visited the basement before heading towards Jason, got rid of the Nightkin, and helped the group of ghouls get their rockets in order. After chatting with Manny again, we were off to Helios, and while I did help out a bit here, I just didn't feel right about what had been happening with all of the Centaurs. Just what was causing them to spawn like that? The mutant monsters seemed stronger than usual, or at least more bullet spongy. They seemed to tank most of the other NPCs around them, and I kept noticing that some NPCs in the areas that they had been attacking just weren't around anymore. I thought back to when they attacked the Mojave outpost and how I couldn't find Ghost or her body anywhere, and this was the same with the other NPCs that I was used to seeing around the other areas, like the powder gangers at the camp the Centaurs were in. No trace of them could be found. Regardless, it felt like time to head towards Boulder City. And this is where things really started to make sense, in the most horrifying way. When we hit the town, the familiar sound of gunfire filled the air, and of course, they were here. However, this fight would be much different. During the battle, I finally saw it. Boone fearlessly engaged the Centaurs and did a pretty good job of dodging their spit, but he wasn't fast enough, and the second he got hit with the gross acidic slime, he transformed. He turned into one of them. I couldn't believe it at first. It caught me completely by surprise. I know for a fact that this isn't something that usually happens with the Centaurs, but just like that, Boone was gone, and now he was one of them. It clicked with me that this is why I couldn't find the previous NPCs in the areas where these monsters were attacking. They were turning everyone they could spit on into another Centaur to fuel their army. The NCR did a great job of securing Boulder City, but I was still in disbelief. Boone was just gone, and these monsters are taking over the Mojave, which is probably why I keep encountering them in odd places. It was just other people and creatures in the wasteland that were unlucky enough to be transformed into Centaurs, now roaming the desert looking for their next victim to join their ranks. I was starting to get worried, so I figured it would be an excellent time to mainline it to Vegas. If I had any luck, I could get into the Lucky 38, which would offer good protection for me, but I could also get the quest Mr. House had to offer and maybe start to get everything back to normal. Vegas was worse. I saw Tapper in Freeside fighting a centaur that had seemingly snuck around the barriers that border the city, but he was able to take care of it fairly easily. This filled me with hope. Things looked to be normal at the main gate for the strip. Ben gave me his warning, the Securitrons took care of the freeloader, and I was accepted into the city. Though I wish I never went. The strip was compromised to the fullest extent. You couldn't see anything but centaurs in front of the casinos, and I ran as fast as I could to get to the Lucky 38. But they followed me. What seemed like hundreds of the monsters started flowing through the front door. I fled to the back of the casino, but they persisted. As a last resort, I ran up the stairs, trying to get some real distance between me and certain doom. But it was useless. As they gathered on the floor of the Lucky 38, it started to rain around me. Hundreds of centaurs spitting into the air. And just like the rest of the people I'd seen in my journey, just like Boone, as the glob hit my face, my body fell to the floor and a centaur appeared from my person. I was one of them now, and we needed more for the army. Thank you for watching this strange tale from Fallout, which is part of my spooky series for the Halloween season. This is based on the mod, The Creeping Horror, which was created by Loon Wolf back in September of 2024. A Nexus link to the mod will be featured in the description of the video. The mod does pretty much exactly what the video shows. It makes centaurs change other NPCs into centaurs by spitting on them. This can affect any character or creature in the game, even essential ones, so it can be game breaking if you don't get a handle on it quickly in your playthrough. This series of videos I am making about horror mods and Fallout games aims to tell the stories of the mods in this way to make the videos more fun. I typically take a pretty cut and dry approach to facts and information about the Fallout games, so I thought this would be a much more fun way to showcase these spooky mods. So again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave it a like, as it helps out a lot, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, especially if you're interested in video game fact videos, lore, and all things Fallout. Have a wonderful day out there, leave the light on, and I hope to catch you on the next one.